are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York blues. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, it's the New York Knicks Show, part of the Lineups Podcast Network at lineups.com, the Big Heads Media Network at bigheadsmedia.com, and Dash Radio. Last we left off, the Knicks have not played a game in 7 months, so we're really excited to get back to the action.
Nothing's going on with the Knicks. Nothing ever will. The draft is coming up in not this week, but is it next week?
Yeah, so we're going to go through the players that the Knicks might be drafting and give our thoughts on what we think of them and who we want to get drafted, who we don't want the Knicks to draft.
I mean, it's a kind of a, as everyone has said, the general consensus on this draft is it's a mediocre draft, right?
Yes.
There'll
definitely be surprises. There always is, but yeah, it's not a stacked draft. In fact, when I was looking at mock drafts, there was some guys that were like 3 in one draft and 9 in another. And for it to be that different means there's a lot of question marks after like basically the number 1 pick.
So there's a couple different things. First, obviously the season ended early. So obviously these guys, you couldn't even get a full picture on how good they were in the last year. Which
is usually a crapshoot anyway with college players, because it's a small sample size to begin with. Now you have a small sample size of a small sample size.
Well, another interesting thing is, like, you look at certain players who are sophomores, like the Devin Vassell, or Vassell. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but Devin
Vassell.
Go
with Vassell. You could say Vassell. One of us will be right.
Whatever. And even like Obi Toppin, who's on a higher rank, like some people think is going to be a top 5 pick. They were guys after their freshman year. They were considered okay players, but really came into their own in their sophomore seasons, which is just like a number of guys we're drafting or you're looking at are guys that have only played freshman year or the equivalent overseas. So you don't even know like how good these guys would be if they had one more year in college.
Right.
It's such a crapshoot. And especially in a shortened season, plus these guys have had, you wouldn't have the same workouts because everything's been limited by COVID. It is and because all the talent is so like kind of squeezed together, where you probably at number 12 and number 5 say the 12 could be better than the 5.
Right.
It's such a crapshoot of like. It's really hard to say who's going to be the best player in this draft and like what level. Like the number 4 pick is not getting you necessarily the better than number 8 pick. The Knicks pick 8. In such a like, would you say the Knicks picking 8, like this is one of the better drafts to pick a little later?
I don't think it's ever a good time to pick 8, but I guess if you're going to do it, one with kind of a crapshoot, I guess is one you'd rather.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. Obviously, the higher pick, the better. But, like, if it's going to be such a gamble and such a, like, who even knows, then a very talented player could fall. Like, I don't know. The Knicks end up with Tyrese Halliburton, which is the possible, which some mocks have. And he's someone that maybe would have had an awesome March Madness and would have vaulted in the draft. Or maybe someone who would have been bad and would have fallen. A lot of guys have higher ceilings or I don't know. The gamble thing is the Knicks almost by default, by the fact that everything was cut short, the Knicks almost can screw up and get a better player than they realize.
This is the Knicks' 4th number 8 pick in the last 15 years.
It's a lot of number 8 picks.
I did a little bit. I was hoping for a little pick me up, so I looked up the number 8 picks over the course of history. Very, very mixed bag.
Yeah, but any draft position outside of top 5 is going to be a very mixed bag.
Yeah.
And obviously getting worse as you go down. Who was the Knicks' last number 8 pick? Frank?
Frank.
Okay.
The Knicks had Frank, they had Jordan Hill, Channing Frye. I mean, Frye was a good number 8 pick.
Yeah, I mean, like he wasn't that great at the Knicks, but like he had a solid NBA career.
You've had Rudy Gay, Jamal Crawford.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like there will be in this draft, there'll be a Donovan Mitchell. There'll be a Bam Adebayo. There'll be guys who fall a little bit. There'll be a hero, a Tyler Hero, guys who are going to be somewhere in the middle here who end up being actually very good NBA players.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest issue with all these players, when you look at the draft on them or just the scouting reports, is that if they all played one more season, it'd be very helpful in figuring out who they are.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you look at Wiseman, who like consensus top 3 pick, which I just looked at one draft that had him going to 11. But he's a prototypical like center. And in many ways, Wiseman looks like maybe a better version of Mitchell Robinson, but not that much better. I mean, who knows? But he played 3 games in college. Like it's just like he played 3 games. He had issues with staying in school with his grades or something like that. Had to leave college, just ended up working on the NBA draft. But like, I don't know, 3 games in college, that's not you don't know who the guy is.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of guys, there are players who will be like a top pick coming out of high school, end up not having an NBA career. And there are guys who are not a top recruit coming out of high school, end up developing in college and end up being like a great NBA player.
So what we're saying is this is either going to look brilliant in a couple of weeks or completely foolish.
Yeah, I'm essentially thinking here the Knicks can just like have all the wrong instincts and still end up like getting the right player because that guy will just fall to them because the analysis is really hard here.
Yeah.
Speaking of analysis and things they can say about players, I suggested to Jay do a top 5 things we do not want to hear in the scouting reports of the guy the Knicks end up drafting.
Mm-hmm.
Jay didn't actually do the top 5 because I hate you, Jay. But I did it. We'll go back and forth, see what we can come up with, Jay.
Okay.
So things I don't want to hear about the guy the Knicks drafted.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, he couldn't really shoot in college, but if he could develop a shot in the pros, he could be a star.
That was what I was going to say. It needs to work on his jumper was what I was going to say. I mean,
yeah,
there's so many bad shooters on the Knicks. I don't need to draft a guy that needs to work on a shot.
I didn't even say this, but like I don't want to hear the guy couldn't shoot free throws. We have Barrett. The next guy has to be able to shoot free throws.
Yeah. That's like a deal breaker for me.
Yeah. Number 2, he's a long-term project that with the right development has real upside.
Our list is going to be exactly the same, isn't it?
Well, I'm sure it's going to be. Like, the Knicks don't know how to develop anyone. If he's a development project, let's move on.
I'm still kind of scarred from Anthony Randolph, Mr. Potential.
I mean, Kevin Knox, they're all Ntilikina. It's development project as a development project, and the Knicks have no idea how to develop.
Yeah, I want ready to go. I don't care if the ceiling's lower. I want ready to go.
Yes. Number 3. Did play a lot of defense in college, but if he can learn defense...
We have the same exact list.
I assume we did. He can play multiple positions in the NBA, though we're not sure what position really would slot him in.
Yeah.
He's a tweener, means he can't play any position.
Which is, again, pretty much everybody on the Knicks roster.
I mean, the thing is, he really wants to be a Knick, and that's a positive. Why, for the Knicks fans, this is always a positive that he wants to be on an NBA team. No one else is like, oh my, you know what? Like, he worked all this time in college. We're not sure that he actually wants to be on our team. We're so lucky. It's the most absurd. He really wants to be here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure every one of those players really wants to be here, whatever team drafts them. Actually, I think I did it number 6 also.
My last one was holes in his game. I don't care what the holes are. I don't want to hear it.
There's always going to be holes. The next one you're going to like. His biggest positive, he's so young. One of the youngest guys in the draft. He can develop.
Yeah, we've been there too.
The Knicks have drafted a fetus. He may actually be a third the size of a basketball, but after he's born, you should see the development.
All right, so we're basically on the same page for all of these.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Um, yeah. Okay, I just want to start at the top of the draft briefly, and then we'll make our way to who the Knicks would draft.
Okay. So disclosure here, I basically looked at the guys from 6 through 12 on most draft boards, figuring if a guy's projected in the top 5, he's not going to fall to the Knicks.
I think anyone can fall. Just about anyone can fall in this draft.
To 8, I don't think Wiseman or Ball or a couple guys. I don't think they're going to fall to 8.
I wouldn't say it's completely insane to think some of these guys can fall. I mean, because they all have major. So Edwards is considered Anthony Edwards, who people think is consensus number one.
Mhm.
Actually, the rumor is Minnesota's thinking about Wiseman, but Edwards is probably the closest to the complete package. He
Mhm.
looks like a guy like super athletic, big muscular. Like he basically like has an NBA body already. He can create his own offense. He basically looks like one of those guys that like in theory this is the kind of guy that would be like your number one player. At the
Yeah.
same time, inefficient in college, wasn't a great shooter. They say one of those guys who he just takes the shot. He knows he can. He's like, can I take the shot? Not if it's a good shot. He doesn't really pick his shots. He seems like very much a inefficient volume scorer is what you're getting from him. Maybe.
So Julius Randle?
They say, yeah. At the same time, they're like, this guy has the most potential. So you kind of have to take him basically here.
Potential.
Then you have the next guy who, just putting in order based on this. I'm looking at it on my mock draft here. Deni Avdija, or whatever the hell his name is. He played in Israel. He has, I guess, basically the NBA comparison here is Hedo Turkoglu. He's 6'9". He's super athletic. He can dribble. He can basically he has a real handle at his size. Can shoot. I guess basically they think he's elite in many aspects, but the question is, he's elite at the level he's playing at. Will his game translate to the NBA?
We could add that to the list of things I don't want to hear.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be such a common thing. Will his game translate? You just don't even. I don't know. Going on the list, like so LaMelo, who I know in some ways, obviously you don't like LaMelo, right?
I just think there's too many questions in his game.
I was watching a video of him. He's such an elite creator. His passing is awesome. He's got a fantastic handle. So in that regard, like if you want a point guard, like he just can't shoot. He's just terrible shooter.
Yeah, but that was number 1 on our list.
No, and I'm not saying the Knicks should like. On the other hand, like it'd be nice to have a really truly elite point guard. I just like the skills for a point guard outside the shooting thing. Like he can really create.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would you? LaMelo falls to the Knicks. Do you take him in the sense of like maybe he's shooting? I know. We just said it. I want a guy who can shoot, but the Knicks haven't had an elite or a truly elite playmaker. The guy has a great handle. He can get around traffic with his handle. He's not the fastest, but because of it, his handle's ridiculous. And he also just like he sees the offense. He makes great passes. He really sets guys up well.
Depends also, who else is available there. I wouldn't jump at him just if he's there, but if the other guys I'm looking at aren't there, then I would take him, but I wouldn't feel good about it.
He's 6'8", 180. They said his defense is questionable. I mean, you basically what you're looking at is maybe a taller Steve Nash if everything works out amazingly. Like not great. Obviously, Steve Nash could shoot. So sorry, Steve Nash that can't shoot, which is also takes a lot away from Steve Nash if he can't shoot. I don't even know. I guess forgetting going through every player. So which players did you thought were realistic? Give me the first player you thought was realistic to go to the Knicks and why he could make sense.
Devin Vassell.
Okay.
I saw him projected anywhere from like 6 to 11, so he's right in there. Yeah. A lot of people are saying he was one of the best defenders in college this year.
Yes.
Which I definitely appeals to me. He's a guard. He's got a really long wingspan.
Yes.
And he's a good shooter. So they're saying worst case he's a 3-and-D guy, which I'd be more than happy with.
So one issue with the guy is like he didn't score a lot in college, and generally they were saying that he's going to be hopefully your third or fourth option on offense. He's not really a scorer. I think he scored 12 points a game.
Yeah,
Are
but
we?
with the number 8 pick, aren't you expecting that to be a third or fourth option?
I don't know. I mean, do we have to kind of? In some ways, you get like you're not getting your point guard. We're getting like where's this guy fitting in? Barrett, where's Barrett playing? Barrett's playing the 2 now.
2 or 3, and you can put this guy at the 2. Barrett at the 3, this guy at the 2.
And so you're going for him basically because you think he's going to be an elite defender
and shooter.
Okay, his shooting. I don't think he's an amazing shooter though. I guess he shot like his shooting like he didn't score many points, so like he's not like he was shooting a ton of shots.
He shot better than 41% from 3 in both seasons.
Right, but he's scoring 12 points, so like it's not like he's taking a lot of shots.
Four attempts a game, but 41%.
Yeah, that's not a lot of shots.
No, but 41% is really good.
Yeah, but again, like small sample size, basically.
Yeah, I like it.
I people say he's a good shooter. I do like the fact that he can shoot.
It's a small sample size, but
I mean, I like the fact that he can defend. The defense gets me the most excited because they say like he can defend multiple positions.
I mean, it's a small sample size, but it was 2 years in a row, and it was 4 a game. That's not nothing.
Fair enough. They say here some basic things are he's an unspectacular dribbler. He's not shown evidence of any kind of face-up or back-to-basket game. And he gets blocked a high number of times.
Okay. I mean, there's going to be stuff like this for everybody on the list.
Anyone going to 8 basically is going to have major issues.
Okay. I mean, I didn't see any major red flags, so that.
Do you want to go through your 3 guys first, and I can tell you what anyone else I would add? Since like I could also just name players. They're all going to be similar, like the similar lot of players. Why don't you name your second guy?
All right, Halliburton.
Okay, because Halliburton's going to be my next guy.
Okay.
What are your pros or what's your thought on him?
This guy looks like he could actually be a point guard. They're saying he's a really good playmaker.
Yeah.
He's big. He'll be a big for 6'5", 6'8" wingspan. A lot of mock drafts are saying he can be an important piece to a contender. So these are all really good things.
I mean, he shot 42% from. He was averaging 5.6 threes a game and shot almost 42% from 3.
Mm-hmm.
They say he has a wonky shot. Like his shot looks kind of weird, but
it goes in.
Yeah, who cares what it looks like if it's going in? I mean, how much further back is what's the difference between the college line and the NBA line? It's not that much, right?
No, I mean the baseline's the same, and the top of the key is like a couple feet.
I mean, most guys, if you're hitting it it can't be more than like a foot. But like if you're hitting it in college, then like you can't be. Chances are you can hit 3 in the NBA, right?
I would think so, and apparently his steal rate is off the charts. So
they said also, generally speaking, he is potentially the best passer in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Forgetting what I said about LaMelo, they said like he not the strongest handle, good handle, but he's supposed to be the best. I guess one of the best passers in the draft, or if not the best passer in the draft. I like Halliburton. Basically, he's scrawny, 6'5", 175, needs to put butt muscle on. I don't know what's his name. Who's the number 2 pick this year? Who like was awesome and yet scrawny? The rookie of the year, John
Morant.
Yeah, John Morant. He was pretty thin. Seemed to be fine. Didn't seem like an issue.
I feel like the bulking up thing is really only an issue if you're playing down low.
Yeah,
even then, like Garnett was never really. Garnett and Durant, like they never really had problems. They were scrawny.
You know what I like also? He's a sophomore, 20 years old. We're not fetishizing him being young. He had a little more time to develop. Maybe that's better for the Knicks.
Could be.
Yeah, an extra few minutes to develop might be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to say about him?
Uh, no, no. I think that was it for him.
I mean, so let's just say that both Vassell and Halliburton are available, and you will add your third guy in a second. But like, do you just take Halliburton because he's a point guard? What's your thought here, or do you take that? Like, where do you go with this?
I think, yeah, they both sound good, but I think I would go with Halliburton. Um, the whole playmaker thing is something the Knicks need so bad, and it's not like I like Vassell that much more than Halliburton. So
Right. At least Halliburton ran an offense. I mean, obviously the Vassell's not a point guard, but it's just such a big need.
yeah,
They say I'm looking at one of the scouting reports. The big weaknesses for this guy. They say the main question about Halliburton is his narrow built frame. He'll need more strength, as we just said. His shooting fundamentals are crude, but the ball goes in. They're saying he has a slow release, which means contested shots might have a little more of an issue.
hmm
But most guys are a little worse when they're contested anyway.
hmm
I don't know all the like, when I read over his weaknesses, I'm like, is this a guy people is just gonna fall because people are like he's unspectacular in many ways? Yet he'll end up being Donovan Mitchell.
right, right,
Like
yeah,
he'll
it
end
could
up
be.
being a really good player where we're like, no, he's not the same as Donovan Mitchell, but like he'll just fall because people are like, oh, he's a little narrow. He's not as exciting as like LaMelo, and then people are like, oh, later on, I'm like, why didn't we take him? He's like clearly he could shoot in college, and clearly he was a good pat. Like what the hell we were thinking?
Honestly, reading the mock drafts, it seems like the top guys are all like hoping that they improve and they're like steals, whereas the guys in the Knicks range are all like decent. Maybe they don't have as high of a ceiling, but they have a much higher floor.
There's a lot of interesting. Like you look at Wiseman, and they say like, man, this guy's awesome. If the NBA didn't was 15 years ago,
hmm
I I like the idea of going for a guard. Like if a guy like Wiseman fell, I wouldn't even question with taking him because like our center's so valuable now. Like and he so much better than Mitchell Robinson.
Right. All good questions.
Yeah, there was a guy actually which you're not gonna mention, but Patrick Williams, who did you look at him at all?
No.
So freshman power forward, he's supposed to be insanely athletic, and in some ways it'd be kind of interesting. And he's like a true power forward. It'd be some ways interesting to get like a true power forward, the pair next to Mitchell Robinson.
hmm
I don't
Well,
know.
my third guy is a forward,
Oh, okay. Who?
Isaac Okoro.
Okay. They say he's more of a small forward, but it's so hard to tell with these guys anyway. But what about him? Why do you like him?
Good defender. He has a variety of offensive skills. Uh, although it's
I like the most mundane. He's got a variety of skills.
it's funny because like you go to one mock draft and they say he's got some offensive value, and then you go to another draft and it said his offense isn't much of a sure thing.
I mean, nothing's. Sorry, just on a totally side tangent from one moment. Like when you said like the variety of skills thing, I was watching Biden's speech last night, and I don't care. I don't know how everyone feels out there about which candidate you wanted, but I'm watching Biden's speech about like unifying and this, and I was like, I'm feeling pretty good. And then my friend texted me, he's like, "Hey, how do you like Biden's speech of just all platitudes?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, like he's saying almost nothing. This is."
That's how you appeal to the masses. You just
I,
give
and
generic
I,
statements.
yeah, and I'm watching him being like, I hope he means all this stuff. Oh, okay. I was like, you really killed this speech for me by mentioning the fact that it's just all platitudes. Um, yeah, yeah, they're all like, well, if this happens, this happens. It's all, I don't know. So what else do you want to say about Kuro?
It looks like I mean, I focused a lot on defenders, so
Yeah,
he definitely fits that bill. He looks like he has an NBA ready body, so we're not going to have all this like if he can put on 40 pounds of muscle, you know. Uh, so it seems like he doesn't re-looking at these draft mock things. It seems like he doesn't have a a terribly good shot, but he's good at getting to the foul line, making cuts.
If I told you that Okoro shot 67% from the free throw line, why the fuck do you want to take him?
I did not see that. I did not see that.
Sorry for cursing. I don't know if you have to edit. Who cares? But the free throw thing just scares me. I can't have another Barrett on this team.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's not good having somebody that can shoot like that, but it's different if it's a forward versus a guard.
I think it's like I would accept poor free throw shooting if you have a true back to the basket center that's going to like. I mean, I guess if you get Andre Drummond, like that's fine. But generally, with the way the NBA works now, no one can be a bad free throw shooter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So
Yeah,
they
that's
say
fair.
with Kuro, everything's like a work in progress with him. He's effective closer to the rim, shot below average from three, not helpful. Decent mechanics. He's an ineffective when his initial driving lanes are cut off. Sometimes apprehensive about shooting. I guess him and Frank will get along really well. I don't know. Like he's one of those guys that like has a lot of upside, but seems like he really needs a lot of development, which isn't the Knicks calling card.
Yeah, this is why this guy was clearly 3 for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't love Okoro. I mean, they're all fine, I guess.
Although I do have a guy that looked interesting, but I feel like he's going to be who's the guy in the Hawks? Young? Trey Young. Yeah, I feel like there's another Trey Young in this draft.
Which guy?
Tyrell Terry.
Oh, wait, Terrell Terry?
Yeah. I didn't see him high up on a lot of drafts, but the Ringer had him at 8 for the Knicks, and he said potentially a game-changing shooter with limitless range. But then I look and he's 6'2" and 174 pounds. So,
oh
yeah,
here at 6'1", 160. Obviously, he can gain a little bit. Like, and he shot 40% from three. I mean, like a lot of these guys shoot well from three.
Those extra couple feet do make a big difference.
What do you say?
Those extra few feet between the college and NBA line do make a big difference.
But whatever it is, like they definitely make a difference. And he might be a very good shooter, but I don't know, that size. 6'1" at 160 at point guard. I don't know if that's big enough.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. That's why I didn't add him to my list.
Like Trey gets murdered on defense.
Yeah.
But he's an elite offensive player. I don't know. I feel like there are a bunch of guys out there, like in the G League right now, who are this size, who aren't in the NBA for that reason.
Yeah. That's why I didn't add him to my list. It was just anybody I see like, elite, limitless shooting range, I'm like, oh, go on. But then when they went on, I was like, okay, pass.
So guys that could fall, or maybe not. I guess his stock is rise. But I also understand why does the stock of these guys rise and fall when they haven't played games since March? Like, what's going on?
I don't know. Workout videos? I don't know.
They're like, oh, this guy's moving up the draft board. Why? Is he doing workouts via Zoom that everyone likes? What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
So did you look at Killian Hayes, or did you just assume he's not going to fall to the Knicks?
I assumed he wouldn't fall.
Yeah, I mean, that's nothing ridiculous to think that he's not going to fall to the Knicks. But he is like he'd be the next best point guard in the draft. After I guess LaMelo being considered the best point guard in the draft, just like the consensus, Killian would be next. Do you I don't know. How do you think? So, oh, by the way, I didn't mention Halliburton. No, Killian. Sorry, Killian is French, or plays in France. How do you feel about that?
I mean, the Knicks haven't had a good history with French players, unless you think Frank is the greatest thing ever. But I'm not going to poo-poo everyone from France just because of Frederick Weiss.
Poo-poo on France, please, Jay. I thought it was funny also that not to pull up politics at all again, but like they had like fireworks in Paris, like they had just won World War II.
Yeah.
So the NBA comparison for Killian Hayes, also the NBA comparisons are even like this guy's the next best point guard in the draft, and the comparisons are Kurt Kirk Heinrich or Spencer Dinwiddie, both fine players. Not exactly like, oh wow, we won this. Like this is amazing. We got these guys. It would be solid guys to get though.
Yeah, I mean, for a number 8 pick, I guess I'd be
Yeah.
happy with that.
He's got size. He's 6'5". He's supposed to be a very athletic, very good passer, but good. But going to weaknesses, which the weaknesses always are so much more glaring. They say he's not an elite athlete, lacks an explosive first step, needs to bulk up.
Didn't they say Luka was not an elite athlete?
They say that with everyone. I mean, you could really read yeah. One of those guys was supposed to be like a James Harden. I think Killian Hayes. They called him like a Harden type. I think that means like let me see the draft thing.
A ball hog who doesn't play defense?
Yeah, so people have said Killian Hayes is the next James Harden.
He peaks in the second round of the playoffs.
You know what? I would love to get to the second round. Have you seen the Knicks?
True.
But I guess he's probably not going to fall to the Knicks either.
I wouldn't think so.
Anyone else you think is going to fall? Obi Toppin or anyone else worth discussing? I mean, everyone's worth discussing, but like anyone else really worth discussing?
There's another point guard that I saw on another site they had going to the Knicks was Kira Lewis.
Oh, yeah, he's all over the draft board too. Like this Tankathon has him at 15. He's 6'3", 165, so he's like not that big. Big things, they like his age. He's young, but I mean, who cares?
But apparently he's one of the fastest guys in the draft too.
Yeah, he's really fast. I don't know.
It's just weird. I've never seen a year where the mock draft had players like 8 spots apart.
Well, they say it's just a combination of like there are very few really elite. I mean, last year's draft was like that also. Like it was like 1, 2, and 3 were probably givens, and everyone else was like a solid. Like you can like that's like Tyler Hero fell because you're like he could have been realistically you redraft Tyler Hero probably be 4th in the draft, maybe 3rd.
Yeah.
But it's just like there's the talent level is just no one really separates themselves in the next like from here it's probably like I don't know like pick 3 through 14. The talent level is so close.
Yeah.
Or the risk I don't know, but he could be good. I mean, they say he's gaining. This article says he's gaining steam post workout. But you can also get only so much out of these workouts. The Knicks were like, Kevin Knox was amazing in his workout. Watch his game film. The workouts don't matter as much as the game film.
You remember Yi when he worked out against the chair?
Wait, what?
Yi, the guy from China. In his workout, he refused to work out against a player, and he like did post moves around a folding chair.
And he didn't really have much of an NBA career.
No, that didn't work out so well.
No, I think I don't like the workout thing at all because I really think you lose team defense. You lose everything about playing with a team that's going to make a guy better.
Yeah.
You lose the fact that like a guy could like Kevin Knox he blew they had him work out against the other 2 guys in they thought the Knicks might draft the other prospects. He blew them off the court because he has a lot of individual skills that stand out. He does not know where to play on a team.
Yeah.
Like, it was great. Like, oh, he looked good at defense. It was 1-on-1. He couldn't get that lost. Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say about the draft, or you want to move on to other Knicks topics, quote unquote?
Yeah, I guess those are the highlights. I mean,
yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens in the draft. It's such a hard draft. There are other guys there also.
I've seen Okongwu in the spot.
Another power forward center guy, but like they say he's a center, but he's 6'9", so he's like a Montreal Harrell kind of guy. Which is that going to be a fit on the Knicks?
I actually found one mock draft that had Killian Hayes going to the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean it's all possible if you look at the teams of like and what they actually need. If no one makes a trade above, so first of all, okay, you're in Minnesota. What do you do here? Just like what? Like do you just go with Anthony Edwards because he's supposed to be the best player? Like look at the roster. Like who do you want here? Some people are saying Wiseman, but is Wiseman really going to fit next to Towns?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm usually a proponent of best player available.
Okay, you're Golden State. Golden State has the most talent of any team in the lottery by far, right? What is
Yeah,
Golden State? And assuming Golden State does not trade the pick, what do you do for Golden State? What's the best pairing here?
I think if you're Golden State, you go for a big man.
Yeah, I would think Golden State would go for Wiseman. Wouldn't that make some sense there?
Yeah, yeah.
Like a very talented big, like
Because I feel like I'd be a little nervous about Draymond Green.
yeah.
So maybe you want to ease his minutes a little bit by drafting somebody in his spot.
Right. Also,
Basically,
with
that's it.
the amount of 3-point shooting they have, like having a guy that's like can like, I guess basically having a back to the basket center might be like keep the defense honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I also like would you want LaMelo Ball? Would you want to put LaMelo Ball next to Steph Curry?
Can you have both of them? LaMelo isn't a good defender, right?
No, he's not a good defender. Yeah, you're just trying to run up the score, I guess. Obviously.
Yeah. That strategy doesn't usually work.
Yeah. I don't know. All the teams up there. Then you have Charlotte, who needs everything.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago needs everything. Cleveland going to take a point? Cleveland, in theory, took point guards the last 2 years, even though neither one is a point guard, right?
Right. Yeah. If I was Cleveland, I'd probably not take a point guard.
Yeah.
Unless
You're
I'm
not going to
looking
take
to
a
make
guy
a trade.
You think you would take just a different position. Like, it's just not working. Taking undersized point guards 2 years in a row, I don't know if I love that strategy for a third year.
Right.
At some point, you might want to figure anything else out. I don't know. I mean, our strategy is just to wait, and LeBron said he's going to come back here when he's 45. Atlanta. So this draft has Atlanta taking Killian Hayes.
Mm-hmm.
But is Atlanta taking Killian Hayes if they have Trae Young, unless they don't plan on playing Killian Hayes at point guard?
Yeah, I don't know. There's way too many questions going on.
Detroit, and then the Knicks. Do you try to trade up? And we didn't even talk about the fact that the Knicks have other picks. And the Knicks are picking 27th.
Yeah, I'm not doing research on the 25th through 30th, guys. I'm just not.
I know more about astrophysics than I know about who the Knicks should take at 27th.
Yeah.
They have the Knicks in the Tankathon draft. They have here the Knicks taking Tyler Bay. Don't know anything about him. He's a junior out of Colorado. It looks like he plays small forward. Looks like he can shoot.
Cool.
Sounds good to me.
Yep,
I mean,
sold.
anyone that can shoot sounds not too bad. And then the Knicks pick again at 38. Here they have the Knicks taking a center. I mean, who the hell knows? The second round's such a gamble. So, do you try to move up in the draft then? Like, it's everything such a like a. Would you try to move up? Is there anyone you're going to try to move up to get here?
I don't think so.
So there's no like, if you could get, I guess LaMelo you don't love. Would you trade up if you get Anthony Edwards?
I don't think so. I think you go for Halliburton or Vassell. One of them should be available.
Yeah, I don't think Halliburton's going to go just because LaMelo and Killian are supposed to be the clear choices ahead of Halliburton. I cannot see 3-point guards going before the Knicks pick. I think Halliburton should be there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going with I think Halliburton. I understand your idea for Vassell. Like he can shoot, play a lot of defense. I don't love him, but I haven't done enough research on this either. Do you think Golden State's going to trade out of their pick?
No, I think I wouldn't. I mean,
you have the number 2 pick in the draft, and you're a veteran team trying to win a title this year. Can you turn the number 2 pick into something better?
maybe. I don't know what, but you definitely listen.
Yeah, the trouble is they're kind of capped out, and maybe the 2 pick isn't worth that much anymore. I mean, it's worth a lot, but not worth not enough that the team's going to make a good enough offer to get it.
I think it'll be worth a lot in a different year.
Yes, it's just because this draft is so weird. And if you're Knicks, let's just say you're Knicks, you're trying to get the number 2 pick. What could you offer Golden State to get the pick? You don't have enough to offer.
No.
One thing I also want the Knicks to do is go, we have Mitchell Robinson. If we think he's part of our future, we have RJ Barrett. Let's at least keep those guys in mind when we're drafting. I don't want to keep in mind anyone else on the roster. But you do want to have a guy in some theory not take a guy that's going to like compete for minutes with RJ Barrett? It wouldn't make sense. You have so little on the roster. Don't duplicate him.
Yeah, but Barrett could play the 2 or the 3, so I don't think you have to worry about that too much.
Well, I guess I want a guy that has a different skill set. I don't know. I don't want a guy that's going to look exactly like him.
Yeah.
I guess the bigger question is the center. Would you, let's say Wiseman falls here, do you take him and you already have Mitchell Robinson? Would that be kind of an idiotic move?
No.
You would do it or would not do it?
I would do it.
Oh, okay. Why?
I haven't seen Robinson able to average over 30 minutes a game.
Okay.
So are you really going to say this position is locked up?
Okay, totally fair. Do you think do you want a Wiseman? Do you want a guy that's a traditional center? He's very athletic. So he's super athletic. They say his hands aren't amazing, but super athletic. He can block shots. I mean, everything you read in the description, like, he just sounds like a better version of Mitchell Robinson, but I don't know. I don't know if he's that much better than Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, I'd say yeah.
So you're all in. You're all in, even though he's a back to the center. You would still like go with that position. You wouldn't want to guard over him or something.
I want a guard, but I feel like
Wiseman's good enough that you would, if some reason he fell, you're all in on him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any way in hell he falls, but yeah, I would take him.
See, I don't think I'd take him. I think like you're just like the position doesn't get you far enough.
I feel like you could take him, and if you decide you don't want him, it's so easy to trade.
I don't know. I don't think that the NBA values centers the way they used to. I think a lot of his skill set you can get for less. Like Mitchell Robinson,
like contract.
One critique of Mitchell Robinson is the Knicks should move him because he's going to demand a big contract. I don't think he'll ever get a big. I don't think at this level Mitch Robinson has any shot of getting a big contract. I think he gets a lot better.
He's going to have to prove he could stay on the floor if he wants a big contract.
Yeah, him, Frank. We're not worried about their next contract because they're not good enough to like warrant a big contract.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you want to move on from the draft, or is there anything else we can say in the draft?
That's all I got.
Okay. How are we doing on time?
We have 10 minutes.
Okay. So let me ask you about some rumors.
Okay.
Chris Paul, should we cover him again?
No.
If you're from Chris Paul's angle, Chris Paul's vantage point, why do you want to come here?
No, absolutely not.
The Knicks standing point, like, there's a good chance Chris Paul will not want to be here. Do you want to trade for him?
No. If I'm Chris Paul, I'm ring chasing at this point.
Yeah.
I'm a shameless ring chaser. I'm not even going to deny it.
Yeah. Do you think that's in his like he's not going to go join Golden State and take a 1-year deal, right?
No, but I would.
I know he's signed anyway. You can't do that, but yeah, go on.
I mean, if he has his own pick of where he goes, maybe you try and go to Milwaukee or.
I guess he can't go anywhere with his contract. His contract is really pretty limiting where he can go.
Yeah, very.
And if you're OKC, is there enough value there that you just say like we'll just keep him?
They were close. I mean, they were close. Maybe you just say let's run it back and see what happens.
Yeah, he's going to like, as the Knicks are like, hey, we want to get him. He'll help our young players develop. Well, OKC's got a lot of picks from the previous trades they've made. Like, why you have him help you develop players there?
They didn't get run off the court by Houston. It was, it was a fairly close series.
Yeah, the young guys will only get better with Chris Paul there. Like, why? Like, I just wonder what the Knicks would even offer to like make it really worth their time. Let's say the Knicks gave up the number 8 pick. Is the number 8 pick worth the value Chris Paul brings to you as far as player development? If you're OKC.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's close, I feel like, right?
Yeah. What if you think you're close, but getting rid of Chris Paul makes you a slightly worse short term, maybe better long term, but maybe you think you lose your window right now.
Yeah. I mean, in theory, it makes sense. I just feel like giving up the number 8 pick would be insane to get him. But it would also probably take something along those lines.
Yeah,
to get him, and that's why it's not worth it.
No, I agree.
Other players. What do you think about Drew Holiday, free agent?
Yeah. He's a really good point guard.
Really good point guard. Great on defense. Negative would be like injury history.
Some injury concerns, definitely.
Does Drew want to come here?
Nobody wants to come here.
Exactly.
I don't want to be super negative, but like the Knicks are so far. If you have a veteran that's been in the league for like 10 years, they want to win a championship. They don't want to help mentor young guys who might be out of the league in a couple years.
On a dysfunctional team, on a team that's been dysfunctional for over a decade.
Right.
So the biggest news, I think, since the last. Also, the Knicks are reportedly interested in Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. What do you think about that?
Sure.
Yeah, he's a guy that needs to like really redevelop his career. Solid player. I would be down for him. He plays good defense.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I know last episode we said we didn't really want like redemption projects, but there's not a lot of other options this year.
Yeah. So actually the one of the biggest things the Knicks announced was, or not announced, the Knicks don't announce anything with this new regime. But there's supposedly from sources, the Knicks are open to taking on bad contracts if it meant getting assets for that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
We've been talking about how that would be our strategy for months now.
So do you think Leon Rose listens to the show?
Probably. I think that's pretty much confirmation that he does.
Maybe he hears New York Knicks podcast and just assumes we are his bosses.
So that means the Knicks are going to get Halliburton.
Yeah. Halliburton. Do you think the Knicks should take on, and I don't have a contract in mind, let's just say, okay, actually the contract, John Wall's contract, I don't know what assets Washington has, but John Wall's contract is terrible. Would you take on that contract for a first-round pick with it?
Yes.
Do you have any concerns at how that'll screw up the Knicks' ability to sign a free agent for the next 3 years?
No, I don't care.
Should the Knicks be worried about the 2022, I guess, free agent offseason?
I don't think the Knicks need a lot of players. I don't think if there's one player that's going to put them over the top that you have to worry about, oh, we need this cap space to get this guy, and then we're good to go. Like, the Knicks need like 7 players right now.
I feel like two issues I feel like the Knicks is they're not honest with who they are.
Mm-hmm.
They keep saying stars want to sign here. We're going to get stars to sign. Be honest and just say we are a dweller. We're in the cellar. We're a terrible team. No one wants to sign here till we get a better team.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, I keep hearing people go well, I'm like, why don't you build for the draft? And they're like, oh, I mean, haven't we been doing that already? What year are we on in our rebuild? I feel like it's not like elementary school where like the stupid kid just moves up from second grade to third grade because that's what we do and just move everyone up. If you're not, the Knicks are still on year one of their rebuild because they haven't got past year one. You have to get past year one to go to the next stage.
It's true.
Yeah, we're not a dumb kid that the NBA is going to move forward. Like we should lock in and go like it's always year one to rebuild till we get to year 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We should call it phase 1, and we're stuck in phase 1 because everyone around us has the coronavirus. We can't get out of phase 1. Questions?
We have no emails this week. nyknickspodcast@gmail.com.
We have one Facebook question because no one gives a shit about the show anymore. And we don't either, obviously. We're barely doing shows because the Knicks are barely playing games, and we're kind of getting sick of it. But we will do a lot more shows when the Knicks are. We'll do a show after the draft.
We did shows 3 weeks in a row last month.
What did you do?
We did shows 3 weeks in a row last month.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
I'm
just saying we'll do every week when the NBA season starts until we can't take it anymore. Because of how dysfunctional they are.
Yeah, we had the 2 authors in the episode I did without you.
Oh, you did an episode without me?
Yeah, remember I guested on the other podcast?
Oh, yeah. Okay, Adam writes from Facebook. Which one of the following objects would you take to sell on eBay, aka which would make you the most money?
Okay.
Melo's favorite hoodie, an autographed J.R. Smith crack pipe, KP's torn ACL ligament.
I think there's still people who swear that Melo was like the greatest thing to happen to the Knicks. I think Melo's hoodie gets you the most.
Okay, then what's number 2 here? KP's torn ACL ligament.
Yeah, I think black market body parts would be second.
Since I feel like the autographed crack pipe is pretty darn good, though.
I mean, it's hilarious, but I don't know how much money you'd get for it.
So how do you feel about the fact that KP needs surgery again or had surgery again? I don't know if he had it yet or not, but
I think all those Mavs fans that were talking trash to us on Twitter should line up and apologize.
yeah, I still like, as much as Knicks fans want to be like, oh, this is great news. First of all, we should never be like a guy getting. We
No,
have
I
to face the
don't
fact it was
want.
still
I
a
don't.
terrible trade.
I never root for anybody to get injured. It was still a terrible trade because the Knicks sold low at the time. Just because he gets injured afterwards does not factor into the equation that they sold low at the time.
Yeah.
That being said, I would rather him just suck on the court rather than constantly get injured.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, he's also. What was I gonna say? He's also just. He's supremely talented. He will come back and still be a very good player on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Which doesn't really help. Like at some point, he'll be back on the court playing well with Doncic. It's still going to look terrible.
Yeah.
What did we learn today, Jay?
We learned that we are capable of doing some research for the show.
Minimal research. I'm sure you can go to any other show doing draft coverage and have better research and more in-depth coverage of the draft. I mean, whatever. The Knicks are going to get one player. Hopefully, the guy ends up being good. I mean, if you listen back to the draft coverage of all like the previous drafts, everything they say sounds good until the guys are drafted and then they have NBA careers, and you're like, oh well, I guess these guys work out completely differently than you expect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
really
like Mo Bamba not Mo Bamba. What's his name? On Miami, their center.
Mm-hmm.
Not Mo Bamba. Who is it?
I don't know. I know who you mean. I'm drawing a blank right now.
I'm trying to
tired,
play. Whatever.
but,
Tyler Hero. All the guys fall for a reason.
Bam
Because
Adebayo.
Bam Adebayo. Guys fall because we have no idea. I mean, they have no idea. We really have no idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, I will hope the player they draft. If I have one wish, they draft a player that can shoot. I hope they have 3 draft picks. First in the late round. Also, I hope they draft 3 players that can shoot.
Yeah. Playing defense would be nice too.
Yes. Having an NBA career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not being out of the league in a couple of years, that'll be cool.
Yeah. Okay. We'll be back after the draft. We do a draft special, whatever, afterwards.
Our epic draft reaction episode.
Do you think we should do one where I guess the picks again?
What do you mean? Oh, I thought you meant like.
No, not the exact same episode over again, Jay. I mean post draft where I go dark. I don't know what happened. Then we record, and I try to guess who goes to the next.
Oh, I thought you meant you were going to pretend to guess, but you already know the answers. You were just trying to look like a genius.
No. I'm literally going to guess based on like. You want to do that again?
Yeah, sure.
Because I always think that's a fun one. Because remember, I was like, oh god, the Knicks got Kevin Knox, and people were like, oh my god, what an asshole, and I was right about that. And I really wanted what's his name that ended up in Denver, Porter.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I was right about that one too.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I get these things right. Okay.
All right. So thanks for listening, everybody. We will be back. A week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that.
The draft is the 18th. Do you want to record that night or the next night? I don't care.
Something like that. We'll be back soon. Thanks for listening, everybody. Good night.
My love. Goodbye, everybody. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone. Feels so good.